All right, Road to Paris. We are with Morgan+Pearson. If you don't know his name, you haven't been following the Olympics because he's our only U.S. male athlete qualified so far for the Paris Games. I was in Paris for the test event when he finished in sixth place and got that automatic slot for Paris. And let me just say, Morgan, you were not just like sitting back waiting for stuff to happen. You were actually leading when I first saw you out there on the run.
Yeah. First off, thanks for having me. Excited to be able to chat with you. And yeah, it's mid-January now, and 6 months to the Olympics. So definitely have started getting ready. But we still got a ways to go, and I'm really excited about it.
Well, yeah, just a little side step here. We're 183 days from the opening of the games. Last weekend, you did the U.S. National Cross Country Championships, and were leading those. Ended up fourth place, qualifying for the Worlds in Belgrade. Are you? How was that race for you?
Yeah, so the race was on January 20. It was a really good race in Richmond, Virginia. 10K cross country. For me, honestly, the race it kind of served its purpose even before I raced. I mean, I shut down my season at the end of September.
Hmm.
I took a month off to get really healthy. I was dealing with some injury stuff last year, or not injury, but just not fully healthy. So I just was like, I've already qualified for Paris or Paris Olympics. I've had some good races, but I can't compete at my full capacity right now. So the number one thing is getting healthy, figuring out what's going on with that. So for us short course athletes, sometimes we race into November even. So to shut it down, the end of September was a little bit early, and then to take a full month off, or 3 weeks to a month off was it's a long break for me. So I wanted something to kind of keep me motivated in the winter months. You know, get into training, eat healthy, sleep right, make smart decisions in training, and then also like out of training. So at first, I was thinking about doing a Houston half marathon, which was the weekend before. But yeah, I just thought about U.S. cross country. It just sounded a bit more fun. I had an extra week to get in shape, and then a 10K cross country is a lot easier to recover for than, or excuse me, recover from than a half marathon on the roads when you're running like 60 miles a week or whatever it is. So, because I've done a few halves and I can't walk for a few days, so the cross country just sounded so much better to me. And yeah, I went down there and did that, and that was kind of my first race of the year. I guess I did a track race in Boulder the weekend before, but that was more like um, to get ready for the cross country because it was like -8 degrees here, and you couldn't really train outside. So, yeah, I'm actually, that was a great first step. Taking a little bit like a easier week now, and then yeah, kind of the second block of training will start pretty soon here.
That's great. Yeah, taking a month off actually, in my opinion, as a ex-athlete coach is not too much at all,
Yeah,
especially what you were kind of dealing with last year. You had some races where clearly you were not at your best. Like you were 44th in Yokohama. You had a DNF in there somewhere, and but then you pitch up in Paris, and all of a sudden you're off the bike. And when I saw you at in the early part of the run, you were actually looked like you were pulling away from eventual winner Alex Yee, which is pretty impressive.
thanks. Yeah, I mean, let's go back to that race. Yeah, I mean, I was feeling pretty good. I mean, honestly, what was going on last year was I was having a lot of like I don't know, lower back problems, glutes, like kind of started the lower back and kind of went back down the posterior chain.
Mm.
I mean, there's times I even felt it in my calves, my ankles. So it was pretty crippling. Yokohama, I was like in third or something, and then my lower back started acting up, and I mean, I feel like a lot of triathletes probably deal with something like that, some
Mm.
tightness. But in the past, if I've had some tightness on the run in the lower back or whatever, I can usually back off the pace and just like kind of take some deep breaths. You still got to run, but
Mhm.
and it kind of like loosens up and goes away. But yeah, this year just wasn't happening. I mean, in Yokohama, I literally stopped and stretched, and it really did not get better. I probably shouldn't have finished that race, but I'm not the type of guy who DNFs unless it's just like it's really obvious that it's making things worse. So yeah, the next race after that in Cagliari was the same situation. My back seized up, and at that point I was like, this is just it's not gonna. I'm not getting anything out of finishing. And then yeah, like even in Paris, I was still I changed my bike fit a little between Italy and Yokohama, those first two races, and then Paris. I changed the bike fit a little, and then I just changed, some of my routine before the races, try to get my back sorted out. But it really did affect me in Paris, which I know, people might not, I don't know. I mean, I got sixth, so I was able to get the job done. But like early on, I wasn't dealing with that back pain, and I was just kind of able to run free. And I wanted to set a fast pace because the goal was top eight, and I figured, you know, maybe it's not the way to run for the win, but to kind of whittle down the field is down to eight guys. Is going out fast is going to do that. So yeah, I felt good. I was in pretty good shape. Unfortunately, yeah, my back started getting pretty bad. I think the slight change in bike fit did help. So I wasn't so crippled that I had to stop, which was good because that was the biggest race of the year. And I was, but if you go back and watch the race, I was, Alex, I couldn't run with him. Um, and then there was a second pack of us, or well, there's Alex and then the first pack, I guess. And I was, I knew it was going to be really hard for me to accelerate at the end of the race.
Mm.
So I just kind of led that pack at the fastest I could run, without kind of like crippling myself even more.
Mm.
And yeah, luckily I got the field down to like, well, it would have been five of us, because Alex was up the road. And then, yeah, by the end, I mean, I kind of like those guys kicked, and I mean, I didn't really kick or anything. I just, ran as hard as I could, to the finish to get six. And, yeah, I was in a lot of pain after that race. If you remember, there was the relay a few days later. I was my body was so messed up. I couldn't start the relay.
Mhm.
And then yeah, I mean, if you go, I was dealing with it the rest of the year, honestly. So that's why I took them. I mean, I normally take like 2 weeks off, and um, sometimes even like a week off, and then a week of just like kind of like fun training. But taking a full month was yeah, that was pretty big. That was different for me. And then I was obviously seeing different doctors and PTs and bike fitters and all that sort of thing in that time. Um, so yeah, I mean, I hope that time was well invested. And yeah, like I think I got a lot out of this past year, but hopefully I'm fully healthy, and yeah, we can really see how I can do this year.
Yeah, well, you you got the job done in Paris. You got to see the course. You got to race against the guys.
Yeah.
You're even with having to slow down and back off. I think your run split was only 18 seconds slower than Alex. And if you backtrack a little bit even further to Abu Dhabi the year before, where you were second, your run was actually faster than his. And I don't necessarily want to focus just on him as the person to beat.
Yeah.
You know how it is. Like everybody kind of looks at, okay, who did best in the last race, and that's kind of like the last
Yeah.
race. So clearly he is a favorite. But fast forwarding to just this past weekend at the cross country champs, clearly it looks anyway from the outside like you've got things sort of figured out with the back and the hamstring and that whole chain.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, a running race is a little different than a triathlon.
Yeah.
Uh, so I'm actually there's Abu Dhabi is a sprint this year in March. But I'm not going to go. I'm gonna go to there's a race in Miami. It's like the Conti Champs. It's actually pretty good points for the short course, but it's an Olympic distance. So yeah, I mean that's kind of the main reason I'm going there to really test my body. I
Mm,
yeah, like you said, things seem to be going well. I think the biggest thing for me was just getting a different bike fit. I think um yeah, I mean I think there's things that need to heal and parts of my body that need to like, you know, get treatment and all that, but I think the bike fit was kind of why everything was so messed up. So
mm,
at least that's what it seems like to me. And like everyone that's kind of helping me out. So yeah, I think that's helped. I mean, I've been training. I obviously did the running race, but I've been training swim bike run for the past um, 2 months, 2.5 months. So yeah, I mean, I do feel healthy. But I don't I don't feel like I'm in the clear. I think if I can do Miami and it's a lower level race, but I'm just gonna go there and try to ride on the front as hard as I can, swim as hard as I can. I mean, I obviously want to do well and place high, but the real test there is just how does my body hold up, and
mm.
yeah, we'll see, we'll see.
Well, you got a good start to things in 2024. You, you
Yeah.
you talked about a lot of people that helped you, to get to this point where you're feeling healthy again. Tell us a little bit about your team, because I think a lot of people look in on, people doing triathlon, going to the Olympics, and it's like, wow, you're just doing this fun thing. You're going to go there and be in Paris, but nobody gets there on their own.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, currently my kind of like head coach is Ryan Bolton. He works for USA Triathlon. Um, he used to coach. I mean, I don't know. He's coached a lot of good athletes. He coached Ben Hoffman, and so he's been more focused on long course recently. But
Mm,
actually, you talked about Abu Dhabi in 2022. It was the end of the year, and that was again I was dealing with an injury for most of the season, and the coach before that, we kind of just had a falling out with the injury. I mean, things just weren't working out. I was kind of like spinning my wheels, and
mm.
yeah, Ryan just kind of helped. He was working for USA Triathlon at the time, and he was just kind of helped me come back from the injury. And then I did really well there at the grand final, and kind of got the career back on track. So it just seemed like a good, I kind of just it kind of just happened and started working with him, and then yeah, he doesn't live. I live in Superior, Colorado, right outside Boulder, so he doesn't live out here. So I do a lot of stuff alone, and then I'm swimming with Brian's team. Brian's really, he's basically my swim coach. He's got some really good athletes, and then some really good, just like especially in the swim. So yeah, I mean, I really enjoy being able to train with him and get some social aspect in my training outside of just you know doing a lot of things alone. So I mean, those are kind of the two key coaches. And then obviously, there's other people that help me out. I
Yeah.
can talk about it if you want, but those are kind of the key people for me right now.
Yeah, it looks like, kind of looking back at some of your races that um, obviously you don't need to be first out of the water, but I'm sure you'd like to get a little bit more time, a little closer to the front. There's just less work you have to do on the bike, so then you're set up better for the run.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always either near the back of the lead pack or like one of the first guys to not make the lead. I mean, even in that race in Paris, um, I think there was like 10 guys, 11 guys maybe up the road the first lap.
Mm,
And then it was me and Casper Storms of Norway. Um, and then the German guy. I don't know. There's a bunch of German guys these days, so I forget which one it was. But yeah, so we were like we like saw them going through transition, but we just missed the pack. Um, so yeah, I'm usually in a pretty good spot, but obviously, I actually think swimming's kind of become my weakness. And yeah, it has kind of been a focus the last 2 months now, since coming back, and actually it's going quite well. Um, of course, swimming in the pool is always you can be doing really well, and sometimes it doesn't translate to a race, but
Yeah.
it's the metric we have to go off of, and I think my times are I'm swimming pretty well right now in training, so um uh yeah, I mean I think that's it's definitely been a focus. So yeah, of course, um why wouldn't you want to be a better swimmer?
Yeah,
I
of
mean, I want to
course.
be a better runner and biker too. So but yeah, swimming's definitely been I'd say like probably been my biggest focus the last couple months since coming back. So I agree with that statement.
Yeah, Paris, I think you were 15, 20 seconds out of the first out of the water. Not that again that you need to be first, but of course,
Yeah.
all those little things add up, in a as you know, in an Olympic distance.
Well, yeah, and I mean, the race, it's hard to really predict how the race will play out in Paris.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, everyone knows the French guys are fantastic swimmers, and just being a home race, they'll have three guys on the start line. If three of them can get out in the front pack with, you know, a couple other really good swimmers that are motivated to work on the bike, like it could make for a long, it's not guaranteed to come together like it did at the test event.
Mm.
I think some of those French guys were kind of looking at each other because it was a qualification event for themselves too. So when they all kind of made that lead pack, I think maybe they weren't they were like, well, what's the point of pushing the bike when the guys I'm really trying to beat are in the pack with me? If you go back and watch the race,
Mm.
um, and then I mean, you know, who knows, but it'll be on French soil and French cameramen and motor pacing. Like I don't think it's like it's gonna be their intention to help the French get away, but that could be a factor. Just
Mm.
more cameras on the French, more motorcycles, more you know it might play a big role. It's a fast. It's kind of a it's I think it's a pretty fast course in the sense that like the average speed's fast. Therefore, a little bit of um, even if they're not like right on the wheel, but up the road, if they get a little bit of windbreak, like it'll play a factor. So I have thought about that a lot.
Mm.
So yeah, I do think the swim. No one knows how the race will play out in Paris, but I think there's a significant chance that the swim is really important and not just kind of like spreads out the field only to come together on the bike. So
Mm. Yeah, and it's probably, as you know, pretty important to not figure out how you would have won the Paris test event, but how you're going to win the gold medal or a medal or do well in Paris.
yeah,
Looking back and seeing, Dorian Connex and Lacour and Leo Berger, like you said, all together up front out of the water. I mean, looking at that group and let's say comparing it to yourself and the other guys who are trying to make the U.S. team, what do you think is there a difference between the support they're getting and what you're getting, or what do you think on that? What's your thoughts on that?
well, I think the most obvious thing is those guys. I mean, I actually don't know their backgrounds, but I assume they've been triathlon guys for most of their life, or at least their athletic life. I mean, I started my first pro season was in 2018. Like I'm just I've always kind of been up against a bit of a time crunch.
You're a baby.
Yeah, so I mean it's just like skills.
Mm,
Just training. I swam growing up, but then I took 6 years off from swimming. Like
mm.
um, I know French Grand Prix, like just that racing, they just have so much more experience. Really, I mean, I know for me, like I don't look at those guys. Um, I don't really think any of them are better than me at any of the sports. I mean, I guess Vince is, I would say he's a better swimmer than me for sure. I mean, he definitely is a better swimmer than me for sure. But, those other three are like, I think I'm about their level for swimming. I don't know. Maybe they're a little better. I never trained, it's hard to really tell. But just like, they're just so crisp in their execution. They rarely make mistakes, and they're just consistent. Which yeah, like consistency's kind of been my weakness the last 2 years. So um, I don't know if it's a support thing. I mean, I don't know if they're supported. I do think being in Europe, um, they probably would get better sponsors. Um,
Mhm.
just because I think the short course triathlon is probably a bit more popular over in Europe and Australia than in US. It's really a niche sport. Triathlon's a niche sport, but then it's draft legal Olympic distance. Like it's really not that popular. Which kind of stinks. I mean, I would say it's harder to get sponsors.
Mhm.
In terms of just, I know they have like the French Grand Prix teams system. I mean, you hear things like they get like 80,000 euros a year just to do like one race, show up at a French Grand Prix. I don't know if that's true, but I mean, if that's true, like, yeah, we're not getting that. I would happily show up to a US Grand Prix for 80,000 US. Um, so I mean, I don't know. They definitely. I would say the biggest thing is just the experience.
Mhm.
Um, yeah,
Yeah, I guess if you're a kid and you're doing it kind of like whatever swimming is here, you've got a gazillion clubs and all these kids that are swimming since they're 8 years old. If you have that in triathlon, it's going to give you a bump up that is hard to get. What did you say you started in what year?
yeah.
20,
My first
28?
2018 was my first. I did one in the 2017. I did the age group nationals, but it was like I didn't really train. I just I was running a lot and I was jumping in the pool a couple times a week. And USA Triathlon had sent me a bike, and I probably rode like a total of like 25 hours of bike riding in my life, and I went and did it. So yeah, my first real season was 2018. um so yeah, I mean it's a dynamic sport. I mean, I know you were like a long course guy, and people ask me, oh, are you gonna do long course? And it's just like it's taken me so long to like have that like ability and like feel like I'm really I'd say the first couple of seasons in the sport I felt like I was just surviving in the race. I wasn't racing. And I'd say it took until honestly till last year 2022 till I was like actually racing and not just trying to survive this from the bike and then see what I had on the run. And so like someone's like, oh, you want to do long course? I'm like, I don't know if I want to like I've taken a long time to kind of, I don't want to say master the craft because
Mhm.
I wouldn't say I have mastered it, but get to the point where I'm, you know, racing and not just surviving. Like I don't know if I want to go through that again. So yeah, like those guys, you know, 20, so 18, 19, and then 20 was doesn't really count. We didn't race. So it kind of took me like 4 years till I was like really confident in my abilities. So, I mean, if you're 14 years old and you start, and then you're 18, that's when you start doing juniors. Or what, I don't know how it works, but the point is those guys have a lot more experience, and I
Mhm.
just think when they are, when they're training, they're training. They're not focusing on learning how to mount a bike,
Right.
that sort of thing.
Yeah, and clearly you like to race at a level where you're actually mixing it up. You're not just in there surviving. Like one of the post-race interviews I just saw from the cross-country champs, he said he didn't want to just go in there and sort of hang on. You wanted to actually be in the mix and mix it up and try to, push the pace a little bit. And clearly that's when you're on it and it's working for you in triathlon, that's your sweet spot.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, who wouldn't want to, be in the race? I mean, that's if you watch, ever since I started the sport, like the top guys are always the guys winning are usually the guys contributing to the race. And it's,
Hmm.
for whatever reason, it's just easier if you're racing. Like think about doing a bike workout, sitting on the trainer, like the whole like 15-minute interval, you're in pain. You're just like this stinks. When you're
Hmm.
racing, you do the same watts and you're not even thinking about it. So if you're racing, the race just becomes easier, and then you're gonna race better, I think.
Yeah.
Same thing for the cross country race, like first it's a 10K race, the first 5K just we go through in 14:45, and I'm like, this feels so slow. Like that's a workout that I'd be like, that was a sick workout. I just went through my first five, like what an amazing
Yeah.
workout. But in a race, I'm like, let's like, I didn't want to take the lead. I was because I just leading a whole 10K. It was super windy. It would have been stupid. But like, I was like, come on, go faster, go fast. Like I was trying to kind of egg people on to keep pushing the pace because yeah, it's just better that way.
Yeah. What's the most exciting or motivating thing for you this year, thinking about Paris?
um, I mean, I just think knowing I have a chance to do really well there, I wouldn't. I'm not. I feel like I'm pretty honest with myself, and I know I'm not like a favorite um or anything like that, but I know if things come together and I'm healthy and training is going well, and I have a good head on my shoulders going into the race, like I know at least I have a chance, and like you said, to be in the race and just
Mm.
competing for a medal, competing for the win. Like I really at the end of the day I do believe that, and that's kind of what's most exciting. I mean, I think back to Tokyo, um, and going into that year. I mean, I obviously things were different. I hadn't qualified. We were coming off the COVID year, but I wouldn't say I didn't have. I had confidence, but it was a different confidence. I was like, I know it's there somewhere, but I just got to uncover it. And
Mm.
now it's like I know it's there. I just need to like be ready. I just need to be prepared. It's not about uncovering some new level that I've
Mm.
never seen. You know. So yeah, I mean that's what's exciting me. I mean, I really think I have my best. I think I haven't had my best race yet. I would love to do it in Tokyo. Um, I think the grand final is like last year in Spain. I thought I was gonna win that. Like the whole week before the race, I thought I was gonna win, and then in the race, on the swim, on the bike, I was just like, I'm gonna win this thing, and I feel like I came so close until my back just completely gave up, and then
Mm.
like I finished in like 55th, and it's just like it was a really hard couple days, but I feel like that's just tasting it. I think I put like 7 seconds on the field and like a K, like, and I wasn't, I felt good, like I put 7 seconds on in like half a lap or whatever it was. And even before that, I was running the pack. I was like, this feels like a joke. Like it didn't even feel like a tempo run. It felt like a long run that I was like
Wow.
just sitting, and I was like, and like just knowing, you know, I know it's there. Obviously being healthy and uh, that's really that's part of this. That's part of being an athlete.
Mm.
So
Well,
that's why I took.
yeah, that's a great position to be in to know that you've got all the pieces, and
Yeah,
that's a secret sauce of an athlete is to just finally put all those together on one of the days
exactly.
that counts most. And you're humble. You said you're not one of the favorites. I'm going to put you in there as one of the favorites. So that's no more pressure than you probably already feel. So anyway, Morgan Pearson, thank you so much for taking time. You got a great start to the season. And everybody listening, make sure you follow him on Instagram. Give us your Instagram name account. Do you remember it?
Yeah, it's Morgan_Cadwell_Pearson. So just my name.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. He posts great stuff. He keeps you up to date on what he's doing with training. You get to see him going like really fast and making it look really easy. So everybody, Road to Paris. Morgan, thank you so much. Take care and good luck with the training, and we'll see you in Paris.
Yeah, thank you.